Have you ever left a job interview thinking, man, I completely nailed those questions, but then you just don't get the offer? Well, the reason might be something you didn't even say out loud. So today we are going to dive into that powerful, unspoken language of your body and how to make sure it's telling the right story.
Think about it. You've probably spent hours, maybe even days, polishing your resume, rehearsing your answers. But what about the story you're telling the second you walk into that room? With your posture, your hands, all of that? That is so often the missing piece of the puzzle, and believe me, it can make all the difference.
All right, so where do we even begin? Well, before we can start building good habits, it's actually super important to know what might be holding you back. Let's get into some of those common and, let's be honest, often totally unconscious actions that can send a completely different message than what you want.
It is wild how easily these little things get misinterpreted, right? You might cross your arms just because, I don't know, it's comfortable. But to an interviewer, it can totally scream closed off or defensive. And that constant pen tapping or leg shaking, yeah, that's like a loud and clear broadcast of nervous energy, which can easily come across as a lack of confidence or even a lack of preparation.
Just think about it for a second. You could be giving the most brilliant, well-thought-out answer, but if your body language is just screaming anxiety, you're pretty much undermining your own credibility. Your message gets all tangled up, and the interviewer is left with this nagging sense of doubt.
Okay, so now that we know what not to do, let's totally flip the script. This isn't about becoming a robot or a statue. It's about swapping out those nervous little tics for confident, intentional gestures that actually boost your words.
Okay, here's a really simple 3-step framework to keep in your back pocket. First, actually use your hands, but do it gently. They're like tools to help you paint a picture. Second, be strategic. A nice, subtle gesture can really emphasize a key point or a huge accomplishment you're talking about. And third, and this is so important, keep the movements controlled. We're going for calm and purposeful here, not, a giant theatrical performance.
Let's just let this sink in for a minute. Controlled and natural. That's the magic formula right there. See, if your gestures look all rehearsed or robotic, you've kind of missed the point. They should feel like a genuine part of how you communicate, which adds this whole other layer of authenticity to what you're saying.
All right, let's bring this all home. We've talked about what to avoid and what to embrace. So what is the one big idea you should carry with you into that next interview?
Listen, the goal is not to be motionless. Sitting perfectly still can actually make you seem really rigid and, frankly, a little weird. Instead, the focus should be on being intentional. You want to make your body language an ally, a tool that reinforces your words and powerfully shows off your confidence. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Now that you know all this, which confident gesture are you going to practice first? Because turning an unconscious habit into a conscious skill, well, that's the first step to really, truly mastering your interview presence.